Good morning. This is Andrew Benioff for Llenrock Group and Llenrock Blog. Here today with Andrea Foertsch of Disruptive Space. Andrea founded Disruptive Space in 2012 to specifically focus on the workplace of the innovation economy, the creative economy, and the shared economy. This continues the work of Melrose Real Estate Strategies, an urban development, adaptive reuse, and land planning consulting practice, specializing in the study and opportunistic application of emerging trends and best practices, which she founded in 1994. Prior to establishing her companies, Ms. Foertsch led commercial projects at Congress Group Ventures and residential projects at Corcoran Jennison Companies. She is a guest lecturer at Cornell University's Graduate Baker Program in Real Estate, creating and teaching commercial development and real estate. Andrew, thank you for joining us.
Thank you too,
Wonderful
Andrew.
to have you here. So we're talking today about disruption in real estate. Talk to us a little bit about what are some of the most prominent changes and trends you've been seeing influencing office and flex real estate and its corporate and startup tenants.
Well, it's across the board change, but the core tendency of this, or premise of this disruption, is around engaging the worker and the workforce beyond the task at hand of work. Whether it be office, industrial, retail, whatever it is, it's about taking that workforce and invigorating it with a more expansive view of the task at hand or the work of the day. So in the office world, this has been sparked a lot out of the entrepreneurship explosion that's been aided and abetted by technology and enhanced and accelerated. And this means that more and more of the workforce is engaged with ideas and execution of new product development and in new hands-on ways that they couldn't previously be. And that's transformed the work environment that they want to be in. It's no longer a punch-in, punch-out 9 to 5. This is a world of ideas and work and execution and relationship. And they don't use the word networking, but millennials are constantly connected with their social and educational and work network through multiple ways. And now we need new spaces and work clubs even that facilitate that kind of activity through engagement.
Very interesting. Okay, good. Well, so economic changes and an increased emphasis on co-working space are sort of shrinking real estate footprints of many companies, obviously including some that come to mind are law firms, technology companies, financial firms, et cetera. How can operators and developers and owners of those properties adapt to this decreased demand for square footage? I mean, what's going to happen if you're the owner of this wonderful office building and all of a sudden a number of your tenants are keeping their same headcount but shrinking their space? How do you adapt to that? What's the next use or next step?
Well, I think attracting is the name of the game, and what used to be called an amenity is now got new aspects to it. Engagement is the new amenity. So no longer is it about sticks and bricks and housing things, but creating the energy within. So attracting tenants that have that energy is very important. That's where co-working and makerspaces and accelerators and innovation centers and incubators come into play, because these are things that draw the public and draw commerce into your building and create an identity and a destination. It makes your building a destination that people are familiar with. They understand that people with ideas can do business there, have trust in some relationship with that building in place, is becoming a new aspect of the whole attracting tenants formula.
So it sounds like it's more than just sort of a fitness center and a snack shop. It's different. Are there uses for retail in this as well? I mean, even if it's an office building, for this, what you call engagement, you're trying to get the tenants to engage with one another, get the owners to engage with the tenants. what other types of amenities are you talking about that foster this kind of engagement?
Well, retail, it's very similar to what has been traditionally retail's position in a building, which is to engage the building with the public and to be the interface with the public. Well, that's the way co-working and makerspaces interact with the world, because they not only house their members' activities with work and creating new products and services and apps and ideas and whatever. This is a place where they engage with other thinkers and other people who want to learn from them. And so the programming is just as important as the space and the desks and the equipment and whatever else of the services that the club offers. It's the programming of activity, both social and specifically educational. It could be anything. It could be a hackathon, of course. There's hackathons for a cause. There's hackathons to solve a problem or accelerate a process. There's hackathons in order, and scavenger hunts for social purposes, or it could be to stimulate some sort of idea theme, or it could be to stimulate some sort of foundation or not-for-profit or sustainable or green theme, or whatever is really either the hobby or the inspiration or the work development process that's going on in the culture. Not so much in my past has been said ever about work culture as it is being said now. A culture of the worker is what is attracting and sustaining businesses that thrive, and that is a marked difference than just housing businesses that do things.
It's interesting, and it sort of leads me to my last question, which is more than just the building trying to attract tenants, and those tenants trying to make their workers happy. On a local level, governments and policymakers, obviously as well as real estate developers, want to attract growth industries, millennials, the creative class professionals. How do they go about doing that? And especially when there's markets, a lot of the Northeast markets have aging buildings, aging infrastructure. We're here in Philadelphia today, but we're building new buildings here, but we have lots of old ones as well, and some of them are becoming obsolete. Does that play into it at all? How are the communities and the governments and the city, regional governments, how are they trying to attract these type of people to their communities?
Well, the successful ones are looking at it across the board, every department in City Hall. Because if you think about the licensing issues of engaging space with new uses in new ways, and some of it having public-private interfaces, you have zoning issues, you have licensing issues that are trying to grapple with a new use and how aggressively or unaggressively they pursue getting things properly classified for life safety purposes, but not egregiously classified for life safety purposes, so that things don't get in each other's way, so that people understand the import and necessity of accomplishing this pivot in our economy, because I see it as really an economy-wide pivot that requires looking at it in all different ways. And, I see that communities can really do a lot by just saying, we get you, we're paying attention to you, and we're going to work out the kinks with you. And that starts a rapport with the entrepreneur or the freelancer, whatever founder has created a new shared economy or creative economy workspace or the innovative workspace. And it creates, they're about club, they're about relationship. And that transforms into how they relate successfully or not successfully with a business community or with a governmental agency and organization. And if you get in their way, to their credit, they're going to find another way, and it's not going to be in your town or it's not going to be in your building, because they're moving much faster and they're not letting others dictate the rules, because technology has enabled this assessment of the possible in new ways than I've ever seen in my career. So it's an exciting time, and those who are paying attention will be the first movers in terms of attraction into their business model or their governmental model.
It's very interesting. Thank you, Andrea. There's one thing that never changes, and that's, or never stops changing, which is change itself, obviously. So disruption, I think, is something that will continue to happen, continue to evolve, and you can either evolve with it and keep being ready to change, or you can stay in your own ways and you sort of go extinct, I think, is probably what happens.
And it's all happening more and more rapidly every year.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for joining us, Andrea. That was wonderful. Andrew Benioff for the Llenrock blog. Thank you for joining us.